On Remembrance Sunday, I went to my hometown. Didn't realize that so many people came to war memorials on that day. I'd lived in that town for 20 years, but I'd never gone to it. But throughout the country, similar things were happening in towns and villages. There was great consternation about would she or wouldn't she appear at the cenotaph in London. Of course, as you know, the Queen didn't. And still, such remembrances evoke such emotion. And our readings for Advent certainly do that. But how do we listen to them? Because if we listen to them and leave here and go and hide our head and disconnect from the world so that we can be safe, then we won't have listened to the one who is always merciful. And that mercy is revealed in Jesus Christ with arms outstretched. Outstretched to a world that is so in need. I was looking up a couple of numbers about World War I, and I think something like 17 million died. And then fast forward 20 years to World War II, something like 77 million people died. Well, I guess if we go on that way, there'll be a bigger number that will include all of us, except the unfortunate few that might survive in bunkers. But hopefully, these words that we hear, because the prophet speaks that it is going to be peaceful. There will be peace and security. But the peace and security rests in the one who revealed and continues to reveal God's love for the world. And that love has never been taken back, despite 17 million and 77 million. Because the very nature of God is love. And we're given a warning in the middle of that gospel that Deacon Dwight proclaimed about no carousing and no drunkenness. Well, truly, that's a very low bar for Christians. A very low bar. Not that means we don't occasionally carouse or occasionally get drunk, but what is asked of us is that we acknowledge that we too, like Camilla, who is going to be baptized into the death of Christ and come out with renewed, we too, she's going to share what we already sharing. And it's a hope that despite numbers like 17 million and 77 on into infinity, we know that the one that does matter is the one who created us, the one who died for us. And the confusion of Advent is we're talking about something that's coming, but we've also talked about something that's come and been, and something that's still present. So it gets very confusing. It gets very confusing. Because remember, the words of the Master, the words of the one who opened his arms said, I'm with you always. So I don't disappear during darkness and tragedy and death. In fact, he witnessed it in his very body. He was present in all atrocities that happen. So it doesn't mean we're going to escape them, but it's how we face them. And the only way we can truly face them is by enduring them and going through them, not distancing ourselves and hoping we don't get pulled into it, but realizing by our very sharing of a common humanity, we are still pulled into it. came across a lovely vision from an Anglican theologian talking about the Trinity. And so the way forward isn't to build bigger walls between us and them, because there's always them, remember. But hopefully that wall gets gradually disappears. So this is what a Methodist minister said. In the vision of God, there is real diversity in unity and unity in diversity. The three in one God is a community of mutuality, equality, and reciprocity. The vision of God critiques and challenges all our separatist, isolationist, sectarian division, and its exclusion and excluding zones. It calls us beyond the idea of a benign apartheid or coexistence. Diversity in unity, and unity in diversity, mutuality, equality, interdependence, and interrelationships are ultimate realities because they are the very essence of God, who is Trinity. And so there's a very real sense in that we are created, we are connected, not just among ourselves because we share the waters of baptism that Camilla is to share very shortly, but by our very humanity, having the same Creator, the same Savior, even if that Creator and Savior is not known by name to people of other races or other traditions, but we are all one. And the night before Jesus died, he prayed that we would remain united, because that seems to be always the human condition, to separate. The very mission of Jesus is to bring together. We share in the great sacrament of the Eucharist, the great sacrament of baptism. We share a common humanity. And my hope and prayer that as we approach the feast of Christmas, that we do realize it's an opportunity. And already you've been so generous in your response to the very needs that we present to you, and many more I'm sure that you do in other places, sharing with those most in need. And so it isn't about doing no carousing and no drunk drinking, but it is about doing something very positive, reaching out in a very concrete way. And the very way we do it is the same way was displayed through Jesus, through humanity, through flesh and blood, through a heart that reaches out, cares, and forgives. Please like, subscribe, or comment below.